two mid-displacement cruisers, two philosophies. The Rebel 1100 leans tech-forward and versatile. The Sport Scout 60 leans classic V-twin muscle with sporty new styling. Here's how Honda's parallel twin blank canvas stacks up against Indian's aggressive, budget-friendly Scout in 9 key categories, and which one deserves your driveway. Honda spreads the Rebel 1100 across 5 trims: Standard, DCT, DCT SE, and the bagger-style 1100T in Standard or DCT form, giving buyers a broad menu from stripped-down cruiser to touring-ready bagger with integrated saddlebags and a batwing fairing. Blacked-out engine covers, frame, and final drivetrain give every Rebel trim a cohesive, contemporary look. The Sport Scout 60, meanwhile, is Indian's newest and sportiest addition to the approachable Scout 60 family, distinguished by its mini 8 bars, quarter fairing, and blacked-out V-twin, a more custom, muscular aesthetic that leans harder into classic American cruiser cues than the Rebel's minimalist Japanese design language. The Rebel 1100 uses a 1084cc liquid-cooled Unicam parallel twin borrowed from the Africa Twin platform, running 8 valves and a 10.5.1 compression ratio. Honda doesn't publish an official crank horsepower figure on its own consumer site, but independent spec sources and dyno-based reviews consistently put the Rebel 1100 at around 87 to 88 horsepower at roughly 7,250 RPM, with about 72 pound-feet of torque arriving at a low 4,750 RPM. That torque-heavy curve is tuned for broad, low RPM shove rather than top-end drama, ideal for around-town riding and relaxed highway stints. The Sport Scout 60 counters with a smaller displacement but similarly punchy 999cc liquid-cooled V-twin using old-school OHV pushrod architecture at an 11:1 compression ratio. Indian officially quotes 85 horsepower and 65 pound-feet of torque at 6,500 RPM. On paper, the Rebel actually holds a slight edge in both peak horsepower and torque despite its more relaxed personality, while the Scout 60's torque peak arrives later in the rev range. Riders who want visceral V-twin shake and bark will gravitate to the Indian. Riders who want refinement will prefer the Honda. The Rebel 1100 is offered with either a 6-speed manual or Honda's automatic dual-clutch transmission, which lets riders shift with paddle shifters or leave the bike in full auto mode, a rarity in the cruiser class and a huge selling point for new riders or those wanting a relaxed commute. The Sport Scout 60 sticks with a conventional 5-speed manual gearbox and a belt final drive, which is low maintenance and delivers that classic cruiser thrum, but offers none of the DCT's convenience. Chain final drive on the Rebel means more upkeep, but a slightly crisper feel. The Scout's belt is cleaner and quieter. The DCT itself offers fully automatic operation alongside a manual paddle shift mode, eliminating stalling concerns entirely and reducing clutch hand fatigue on long rides or in stop-and-go traffic, a meaningful comfort advantage for newer riders or anyone commuting daily. For riders chasing the newest transmission tech, Honda wins outright, though traditionalists who prefer the tactile feel of a clutch lever and the reduced maintenance of a belt over a chain may still favor the Scout's simpler setup. The Rebel 1100 tips the scales at a claimed 518 pounds wet, built around a tubular steel frame with aluminum elements designed specifically for mass centralization. Honda tucks the crankshaft near the bike's center of gravity to sharpen handling. The Sport Scout 60 is heavier at a claimed 549 pounds wet on an aluminum frame, reflecting its more traditional cruiser proportions. That roughly 30-pound difference is noticeable at parking lot speeds and in tight technical corners, where the Rebel feels distinctly lighter on its feet. The Scout's extra heft, however, translates into a planted, stable feel at highway speed that some riders prefer, particularly on longer stretches of interstate, where a lighter bike can feel more susceptible to crosswinds and passing truck turbulence. Indian markets the Sport Scout 60's 25.7-inch seat height as class-leading, and it's a genuine advantage for shorter riders or anyone prioritizing easy standover and flat-footed stops. Add mini-ape handlebars, integrated risers, and mid-mounted controls, and the Scout leans into a sportier, more aggressive riding triangle than Indian's other Scout 60 variants. The Rebel 1100 sits a bit taller at 27.5 inches, with an upright handlebar bend and a narrow saddle-style seat designed with progressive foam for long-trip comfort. Neither bike is unreasonably tall by cruiser standards, but the Scout 60's lower stance gives it a slight edge in accessibility, while the Rebel's ergonomic triangle favors longer rides. The Rebel 1100 uses a 43mm fork with 5.5 inches of front travel and nitrogen-filled remote reservoir rear shocks with adjustable preload, offering 3.7 inches of rear travel. The Sport Scout 60 runs a slightly smaller 41mm fork with 4.7 inches of front travel and 3 inches at the rear. The Rebel's additional travel front and rear should translate into a more forgiving ride over rough pavement, while the Scout's tighter setup keeps things planted but potentially firmer on imperfect roads. Ground clearance is close, 4.7 inches for Honda versus 4.4 inches for Indian. Honda equips the Rebel 1100 with a single 330mm front disc using a radial-mounted caliper and a 256mm rear disc backed by standard ABS. It also includes Honda selectable torque control with integrated wheelie control, adjustable across standard, rain, sport, and a customizable user mode. Genuinely useful electronic rider aids for a bike in this price range. The Sport Scout 60 uses dual 298mm discs front and rear with a linked ABS system, a setup that favors outright stopping power distribution but doesn't come bundled with traction or wheelie control. For riders who want electronic safety nets layered on top of physical stopping power, the Rebel is the more sophisticated package. The Rebel 1100 is the clear technology leader here. It features a 5-inch color TFT display, a USB-C charging port, standard cruise control, and compatibility with the Honda RoadSync app for hands-free navigation, music, and call management via Bluetooth. The Sport Scout 60's base trim keeps things simpler, with a digital instrument cluster covering the essentials: speed, tach, trip data, fuel, and temperature warnings, but no touchscreen or companion app integration standard. Riders wanting an optional power band audio Bluetooth speaker and ride command touchscreen will need to step up to pricier Scout trims, whereas Honda bundles more connected tech into the Rebel's starting price. The Rebel 1100 starts at $9,699 for the base manual model, with the DCT running $10,399 and the top DCT SE trim landing at $11,199, plus a $775 destination charge. The Sport Scout 60 starts slightly higher at $10,499 for the base trim, climbing to $12,699 for the limited version, plus a $725 destination charge. Given that the Rebel's base price undercuts the Scout 60 while still offering a modern chassis and available DCT, Honda holds a modest value edge, though the Scout 60's standard belt drive, dual disc brakes, and lower seat height help justify its slightly higher entry cost. Neither bike is objectively better, they serve different riders. The Rebel 1100 is the more technologically advanced, versatile machine with the DCT option, HSTC, and RoadSync connectivity giving it broad appeal for commuters and long-distance cruisers alike. The Sport Scout 60 leans into old-school V-twin character, a lower seat height, and sportier styling for riders who want classic American cruiser feel without the premium price tag of Indian's larger Scout lineup. Riders chasing modern convenience and lighter handling should lean Honda. Those chasing V-twin soul and easy standover height should lean Indian. Budget-conscious buyers should also weigh the roughly $800 gap in starting MSRP, since the Rebel's lower entry price still comes bundled with more standard rider aids and connectivity than the Scout 60's base trim offers. Test ride both before deciding. Seat time settles this rivalry better than any spec sheet, and the difference in feel between a parallel twin and a V-twin is something no comparison article can fully convey.